Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video I'm going to be decorating with the new Autumn Cottage that we got in the premium shop this week. This house is absolutely gorgeous and genuinely probably the house of my dreams. So we are going to be building with it today. I've decided to pop it up in Sunlit Plateau as I feel like it really fits that kind of warm vibe up here, and I want to create a nice autumnal kind of like contest, or like I want it to look like a baking contest basically. So as you can see, I've popped the house in this section on the left hand side of Sunlit, and I've put out all the furniture that I thought I potentially might use. As you can see, all of these are very autumnal. There's a lot of crafted stuff here. I used the sun-baked path to obviously match this nice warm colour, and added lots of furniture that's obviously in that same style. But I wanted to give this build a big space because, as I said, I want to create like a baking contest was kind of my thought. So as you see, as we go forward, one of the kind of areas in front of the house will be a baking contest with lots of different like pies and cakes and treats and stuff. I just really wanted to create something like this with this house. I just felt like it fit the autumn season and kind of like the season of giving and everything like that. So as you can see, I create the pathway going down, and then I make this big open section down from the house. I add in some of the wood planks and then start adding in tables. I wanted to do some rows of tables, and these ones didn't connect, so I actually swapped to the Monsters Inc. sushi bundle ones. There is another recolor of these in Scrooge's shop. They're very, very similar, and they also clip together, so if you don't have the sushi bundle, that would be a good alternative. But as you can see, I'm arranging those in and figuring out the layout of these tables. Now, some of the main features that I wanted to be a focus point in this build is some of the craftable autumn archways that you can make in your crafting bench, and then the one at the front with all the like additional stuff on the side and the bunting is actually from Jack Skellington's quest. I think it's his level 10 quest, so if you don't recognize that, that is where that is from. And then I obviously added some of the leafy rugs going all through the middle, which are from Scrooge's shop. Before I started adding around all the rest of the furniture, I wanted to start with the bigger stuff first, like the hay bales and things like that. But as I said at the start, I do use a lot of crafted furniture in here. There is obviously the odd Scrooge shop and premium shop and all that stuff, but for the most part there is a lot of crafted stuff because we have quite a nice range of like rustic and autumnal items that we can craft. So if you are decorating for autumn or decorating this house, there is definitely a lot available to you even if you are newer at the game. Now for this build, I did want to include a lot of items. I wanted it to feel very busy and very kind of like a lot going on, because obviously with it being like a baking contest, I wanted it to feel like this kind of busy spot you'd go to, and then there'd be lots of decorations up by the house, and the house have a lot of obviously pumpkins and autumnal decorations to obviously match its theme. But I wanted to keep the pathways as clear as I possibly could, so I made sure I made the pathways quite wide and didn't block them too much, and put most of the decor like around the edges. So like behind the tables, I've put kind of like a backdrop of items under the archway, and then I start creating a little small area off to the side where there's going to be a little picnic blanket and also some little chairs by the water. I wanted to do this little area as like a kind of more secluded spot that people would hang out in, maybe the people who live in the house, and as you see as I go forward, I'll create like a little rock pathway leading to this, so it feels more secluded and you can't really see it when you're on the main path. For lighting in here, I went for some of the crafted wooden lampposts because I feel like these lanterns just look so rustic and fit the vibe. And I do go in later and add in some of the fire candelabras that I always tend to add. I just feel like they work really, really well in builds because they're permanently lit. And obviously towards the end, I will go in with some melted candles because it's not a build by me if there's not melted candles involved somehow. Now for trees in this build, I did struggle because obviously we do not currently have any orange trees. Obviously I did this build before the DLC teaser, so now I know we are going to be getting orange trees I think at some point, but for now we don't. So I went in with obviously a bunch of the red maple trees because these tie in the most with the autumnal colours, and then I did also add some of the green maples. I used the ones that are angled, so they created like kind of an archway and made everything feel really covered in. You'll see when I walk through later on, it gives us this gorgeous, really covered over overgrown look, and it kind of obviously just brought some colour in with the green. I hope in the future we do get these in different colours because I love making these kind of archways with these trees that lean in, whether they're palm trees or maples. They just add such a cool theme to everything. And then I also went around with some of the swamp trees, some of the normal oak trees, and kind of figured out which trees worked best to kind of keep it feeling autumnal but still give it that overgrown look when there's not really any orange trees and there's only one red tree we can use. So hopefully in the future we do get more orange trees so I can obviously change it up and add those. Now for foliage in here, I obviously wanted to include a bunch of the sunlit plateau plants, so the red ferns, the red and orange bushes, because obviously they just fit perfectly with this build, and then I will go in between those and add in some of the Forest of Valor and the Glade of Trust darker bushes. I find that these darker ones just complement the reds and oranges really well, and obviously match really nicely with some of the trees I used. So I do start going around with the final few furniture items such as little birdhouses and things like that before going in with the plants. When it comes to Eternity Isle plants, I only use the little green one, which I love to use in most builds because it's so tiny and fits tiny little spots perfectly and just gives you that extra bit of coverage on your pathways. To finish up in the build, I added in some rock spots. I used some of the Forest of Valor ones with the big tree trunks. These got added quite recently, I think a couple updates ago, because they realized that it was like in the panel but no one could find it, so they're in there now. So I added some of those because I felt like they obviously just fit the rustic kind of forest vibe. I will go in later as well and add in some more simple rock spots. I add a big one behind the house and just kind of bulk it out with these are good as well if you're on a lower item limit, because they'll kind of cover over big spaces and block things out without you obviously having to use like 10 bushes to achieve the same thing. So rock spots are always quite handy to use, and I also added in a couple more trees and kind of wrapped up the foliage. So here is the finished build. As you can see when we go in, we've got this archway leading us in with a little sign pointing in the right direction, and as you can see, this kind of like long pathway section creates the most beautiful like autumnal tunnel. It feels really closed off. The maple trees going in the kind of different directions into each other gives it this nice arch look, with the house as the centerpiece at the end. You can see I've obviously put a bunch of pies and autumnal foods on the tables, and some of the little Remy bowls that we can now get in Scrooge's, because I thought they'd look like people were gonna like dish up the food, and obviously the rugs going down the middle with lots of lights lighting it all up. And then as we head down towards the autumnal house, we've got obviously some fireflies in the sky to make everything glow really beautifully and to fit the theme. We've got lots of pumpkins, lots of sweet treat buckets, Halloween things all outside this house, so we've got the balance between the autumn and the Halloween here. And then around the side we've just got a little bike and some more decoration so that you can get into the side entrance of the house, because I really wanted to make sure this wasn't blocked, because I love the fact that it has that side entrance. I think it's really unique. And then coming out from there, we obviously head across and we've got our little rock pathway leading us to our little hidden section, which is our little picnic blanket, which is super autumnal. And then we've got the little seating area by the water where we've got some rocking chairs and a little easel for people to enjoy. So here are some shots of the final build. I absolutely love how this turned out. It was quite a big build, but I do really like it. I think the kind of like long pathway leading up to the house makes it seem like such a grand feature, and overall I just feel like this is super autumnal and I wish I could live here, honestly. Let me know down below what you guys think of the build. Did you pick up this house in the premium shop, and if so, have you built with it yet? Let me know your thoughts and what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy my content for more Disney Dreamlight Valley builds, information, chats and live streams, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!